wine in the mountaintop, while guzzling 40s on the sidewalk curb. This is about performing in front of 3,000 or just 3, and still having the same conviction in your words. This is about junior high bike rides to your girlfriend's house. This is about turning 65 and still making out with your spouse. This is about writing poems about someone's laugh. This is about standing naked before a mirror and flexing the muscles you don't have. This is about fighting the good fight. This is about the irony of cancer turning out to save my life. I pull my heart out, I keep my head high, waiting with patience for the day God reveals his face and makes me the same offer once again. And when such time arrives, this time I will look him square in the eye and tell him, make me as I already am, because nothing has ever been more beautiful. UWF, thanks so much! I want to love you like gazelles and cross-color overalls. I want to love you like a new pair of Feelus and K-Swiss kicks. Don't make me lose my place. All right. I want to love you like Junior Dance 1996, where you and I can rock the same outfit, airbrush t-shirt and oversized flannel. You with the aquanet hair, the fan above your forehead. Me with the Gumby flat top, the lean to the side. Taking prom pictures, posing next to a plastic pillar with a castle in the background. I want to love you like the 90s. I want to love you like Jordache backpacks and Trapper Keepers. I want to love you like you love your beeper, Motorola Bravo, clear case with a chain on it. And when it goes off, you'll know it's me because I'm the only one that beeps you 1, 4, 3, love. So now everybody's screaming, you see that? Alright, by round of applause, how many of you do not know what 1, 4, 3 is? Make some noise. I love you. I don't worry, you're going to learn today. Alright, a couple of you, alright. So for those of you that don't know, right, like back in the old days before you could text message somebody, you could only beep them. And if you beep somebody 1, 4, 3, that means what? I love you. That's what's up. I love you because 1 letter in I, 4 letters in love, 3 letters in you. So y'all got it? Whatever, man, that's better than bae or whatever they say. See, love never needed text messages and cell phones because we both know it ain't love till I'm throwing rocks at your bedroom window. It ain't love until I have the guts to call your house at 11 o'clock at night, hoping your father doesn't pick up because you know you're not supposed to call a house at 11 o'clock at night. But we got a system. Call and hang up after the second ring. And we never had to worry about the battery dying because our phone had a 30-foot cord that we from the kitchen down the hall went into your bedroom while we're talking in the night saying things like, you hang up first. No, you hang up first. And we both agree to stay on the phone till we both fall asleep. I want to love you like the 90s. Back when we made book covers out of paper bags. We passed notes in class, the ones we used to fold in a little flap that says pull. Back before Facebook turned us into disconnected fools, I don't need a status that says in a relationship. I need a status that says we go together. I don't need you to like my comments. I need you to check like at the end of my letter. And by the way, writing and checking maybe is not an option. Pick a color. Blue, B-L-U-E. Back when love is reliable as TGIF on Friday nights, I want to love you like that. Make you the Kelly to my Zach, the Laura to my Urkel, the Gina to my Martin, the Topeka to my Corey. Back when MTV actually played music videos. And my favorite one playing, which at the time was Boyz II Men on Bended Knee. I would walk across the room with a tape recorder and press it up against the television speakers. If you listen to my tapes, most of my songs have my sister's voice in the background and me going, shut up, I'm recording. I want to love you like the 90s, back before iPods made music too complicated. Love never needed 2,000 songs, it only needed 3 albums. Together Forever by Shy, Heartbreak by New Edition, and the Boomerang soundtrack. Way back when lyrics could describe exactly how I feel. I want to love you like the 90s. Back when making a playlist meant dubbing you a mixtape. I want to love you like cassette. The kind of love that even when it gets tangled, we just have to stick a pencil into the spool and reel it back to normal. I want to love you like portable Sony CD players. The kind of love that even when it gets scratched, we just have to wipe it on our sleeve because love just needs a little touch to make it move. I want to love you like Nintendo. And for the record, I know Nintendo came out in the 80s, but when you're poor, you never get to own anything the same year it comes out. Mine was hand-me-down and broken. I had to put books on top to keep the cartridge from popping up. But like love, sometimes you just need a little pressure to make it work. Love has never been anything more than a collection of memories. It's always been full of possibilities. It's the future that lay before us. So I want to love you like the 90s, never wanting to leave it behind, never wanting to grow up. Coming up to the stage, hailing all the way from backstage. He's gonna do comedy for y'all. We got a chance to talk to him out there, and he said he's really nervous, right? So I'm gonna help him feel that energy, right? I want y'all to make some noise.
With it being actually the Self-Harm Awareness Month, I wanted to pick a song that actually focused on those people who are hurting quietly. And I just want to tell you, if you're out there, that you are beautiful and you are...
I'm gonna do this poem, we're trying to look around the room and look at women's eyes to let you know that I'm talking to you. No one's ever told you you're beautiful before, I will, yeah? Now in the process of me looking around the room, looking at women's eyes, I may accidentally run into a dude. I love y'all and everything, but if you see me coming in your direction, fellas, just do me a favor, look up, look down, look side to side, do whatever you can to not make accidental eye contact with me, right? I don't want to be in the middle of this poem talking about, you're beautiful, and the homeboy's like, yeah. We throw beach towels into the breeze, ease our backs into the sand, close our eyes and ask the sun to stay out just a little bit longer. And we don't run when the heat gets stronger, we just lather our skin with sunscreen, close our eyes again, and drift off into a silent sleep, knowing we're protected from whatever else the day might bring. This protection is beautiful. She asks me if she's beautiful every Friday night. Standing at the foot of the stairs, she asks me if she looks all right, and if only she could see what I see through my eyes, how the flowers turn their face to her stride, how the rainbow for smiles enough to overcast the skies. I tell her she's beautiful, and I mean it. But she's been flipping through magazines again, so it's gonna be hard for her to see it, but I see it, I know it. The same way I know the metal still shines behind the rust, I know her beauty lingers. Like a band of skin still holding her natural skin tone, behind the diamond ring on her finger, I know her beauty lingers. Behind stilettos and name brand clothes, salon haircuts and makeup, I ask her, do you know why they call it makeup? Because too much of it makes you make up lies about who you really are, and you already shine brighter than any star. You can see it if the city would only turn its lights off for once, but it seems the world has forgotten where the shine should really come from. We're thinking outside in instead of inside out, baby. Dabble some of that lipstick off your mouth that makes my cheeks feel greasy. Some days, she doesn't believe me. Those days when she's at her worst, when nothing else hurts more than her reflection staring back at her every tear, drips like Chinese torture. Face down in the aftermath, her confidence shattered to a pile of broken mortar. She is left defenseless, while we make battlefields out of skin, silicone and collagen, being buried beneath like landmines. We're recruiting girls as young as 9, putting them through boot camps of crash diets and bulimia, using Revlon for war paint, Gucci for body armor, Coach purses as weapons of mass distribution. Beauty versus vanity, and vanity is slicing beauty up her sternum to expose her flaws for the rest of the world to gawk and laugh at. If you think I'm taking that metaphor a little to the extreme, ask yourselves how many times we've cut down others for not meeting our superficial expectations. Yesterday, I saw a 14-year-old girl wearing a skirt shorter than my father's ambition, and I could just imagine that while she powders her face in the bathroom, downstairs on the TV, pedophiles are getting caught staring stupid into the hidden cameras of Dateline NBC. I wish I could tell her I'm sorry we let you down. I promise you can return to slumber parties and gossiping about boys. When the world decides to finally come around, I am not self-proclaimed righteous. In fact, I've stared at more cleavage than I can count. But if there's any glimpse of any honesty left in me, then let this poem be the way that honesty should sound. You're beautiful, and I'm repeating it until it saves you, until you learn you can spend an entire lifetime in a bathroom, but it will never compare to how perfect you already are, exactly the way God made you. So let the flowers turn their face to your radiance, let your heartbeat pulsate to your skin, marvel at your magnificence in the mirror, spin then do it again. Beauty is nothing more than confidence, and vanity is nothing more than shackles and love. Love will never equal a man whose knees are scraped with carpet burns from trying to run out your door with his pants around his ankles. Wear your smile like a sundress, wear your mystique like sunscreen, to protect yourself from being burned by the sheer ugliness of beauty magazines, because the sun is shining, and the sunscreen will help you see that the protection will always be beautiful, just as you will always be beautiful. You will always be beautiful to me.
Scared of dentists in the dark. I was scared of pretty girls and starting conversations. Oh, my friends, I'm turning green. You're the magician's assistant in your dreams. time, taking away to the dark side. I wanna be your left hand man. I love you when you're singing that song, dear. I've got a lump in my throat 'cause you're gonna sing the word wrong. There's this movie that I think you like. This guy decides to quit his job and head to New York City. This cowboy is running from himself. She's been living on the high shelf. Now, and they're coming unstuck. Yes! Lady, I'm down to the red tide, taking away to the dark side. I wanna be your left hand man. I love you when you're singing that song, dear. I've got a lump in my throat 'cause you're gonna sing the word wrong. I just gotta know if you're gonna stay. I just gotta know. I can't have it any other way. I swear she's destined for the screen. Closest thing to Bishop Alfred that you've ever seen. Oh, lady, running down to the ring tide, taking away to the dark side. I wanna be your left hand man. I love you when you're singing that song, dear. I've got a lump in my throat 'cause you're gonna sing the words wrong.
Everything is satisfaction, wonderful feeling, wonderful day. Hakuna Matata, wonderful phrase. Hakuna Matata, ain't no passing craze. It means no worries for the rest of your days. It's not problem free. One to learn some, but I won't hesitate no more, it cannot wait, I'm yours. Open up your mind and see like me. Open up your plans and then you're free. Look into your heart and you'll find love. All the people dance and sing. We're just one big family, and it's our God-forsaken right to be loved, loved, loved. No more, it cannot wait. I'm sure there's no need to complicate our time. It's short, this is our fate. I'm
You can go to California, go visit your mom, your brother and sisters. I'm like, you know what, that's a good idea. Summer 2012, I flew back to California to hang out with my mom and my siblings. And basically this is what I did all day. I'd go to my mom's house, right? I'd sit on the couch. I'd wait till my sister got home from work, which is like, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. She'll come home, she'll sit down next to me, we'll open our laptops, we'll watch television, and not say a single word to each other for like 4 hours, right? Like, have you ever been that close with somebody that you don't even need to talk, right? Like, you just love being around them so much, it didn't matter if you had anything to say, you just loved being around them. It didn't matter if you had anything to do. Now, don't get me wrong, when me and my brothers and sisters are goofing around, we're the most hilarious group of people you'll ever meet. But there were times we just loved being in each other's company. Well, on the last day that I was supposed to fly back here to Florida, my sister comes home really early, like 10 o'clock in the morning, and I looked at her, I'm like, well, what are you doing home? And she's like, oh, I've had this headache, and it hasn't gone away in like 3 days, and today I just couldn't take it anymore. Now, mind you, my sister never calls out of work. She's one of those people that even when she's sick, she goes in, and she hardly ever gets sick, because there's nothing wrong with her. She's like fully healthy, well, maybe except for her liver, because apparently her and Hennessy have a very important relationship. Like, you know how in every household, there's always that one family member whose job it is to get everybody drunk, right? Like, that's my sister. Like, she'll give shots to my grandma, and I'm like, Kate, you do realize she's 89, right? And my sister would be like, well, she needs to man up. Like, but what's crazy is my grandma will outdrink all of them. Like, she's from the Philippines, you know what I'm saying? Like, they drink rubbing alcohol, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they do. Like, the poor people in the Philippines, they will drink, like, alcohol with Sprite, like, if they can't afford, like, real liquor. Like, no joke. I'm like, come on, you gotta try to test somebody like that, right? So, seeing that she really, seeing that she had a headache, my mom, if you never met my mom, she gets really neurotic. So she's bugging out. She's like, oh my God, we gotta take you to the ER, something might be wrong, this, and that. My sister's like, it's fine, it's just a headache, it'll go away. I looked at my sister, I'm like, if you might as well go, because mom's gonna continue to pester you until you do. So they go to the ER, I stayed home and finished packing. A couple hours later, I get a text message back from my sister, and she's like, so it looks like they found a tumor in my brain. I'm like, crap. So I called the airline, canceled my flight, went to the emergency room to check up on her, and when I got there, she was like, oh, good news. It looks like the tumor isn't cancerous. It looks like I've had it since I was 14. It's actually in between the 2 halves of the brain on the surface. And the doctor said all they gotta do is cut a hole, take it out, and I should be out of there within a couple of weeks. The only downside is gonna have to put a metal plate in my head, but I think that's okay, because I'll probably get better cell phone signal. Like, that's how we make jokes in my family, right, whenever something serious like that happens. So knowing that she was gonna be fine, I flew back here to Florida for like, that was on a Friday. That Monday she went into surgery. That Tuesday I called up her fiance. I'm like, hey, how's my sister? And he's like, oh, she's good. She woke up. She actually recognized all of us. She even called your brother ugly, so we know her brain's still intact, right? Only downside is she couldn't move some of her extremities, and the doctor said that's probably because of the anesthesia. But as soon as it wears out, she should be good to go. So I hung up the phone. That Thursday, I get a frantic phone call from my mom, and she's like, you need to come back. Somewhere in the middle of the night, a blood vessel hemorrhaged in her brain, and she fell into a coma, and they had to rush her back to the ICU. So I flew back to California that Friday. By that Sunday, the doctors had pronounced her brain dead. By that Monday, we had to pull the plug, and by that Saturday, I was burying my sister. Now, I bring this up to you because in the beginning of the night, I told you I think things happen for a reason, right? Who would have known that those 3 weeks that I had with her would have been the last 3 weeks that I would ever have, right? Just us sitting there not doing anything was going to be the last time I would ever have with her, right? And I say this to you because you're in school. And the busier and busier you get with classes and everything, the less time you have for the people that you love, right? So when you have that time, don't let a moment go by that you don't let somebody know just how much they mean to you, right? Live for the moment. We're so busy worrying about what's going to happen later that we forget the moment that we're in. Like right now, this is the moment that we're all in together. Embrace it and cherish it. You know, don't be in such a rush to be somewhere, right? And enjoy it, because you just never know. There's so many things out there that could kill you, right? And yet, you know, you're alive. And so, I can't do a show without at least honoring my sister. This is without a doubt one of the hardest poems I've ever had to write, but if you could just bear with me, I want to do this for any of you that may have felt something like this and, and needed somebody to just express what you've been feeling. And this is that poem. It's called Awakening. When the snow falls in the winter, the woolly caterpillar crawls into a crevice and freezes to death. Its blood stops flowing, its lungs hardens into ice, its heart comes slowly to a halt. The heart is always the last to go. But when the snow melts in the spring, the ice thaws from its ventricles, the crystals dissolves from its lungs, and just as slowly as it died, the woolly caterpillar awakens and comes back to life. For 120 hours, we waited for my sister to wake up. My family mumbling prayers around the doctor who tells us she fell into a coma when a blood vessel hemorrhaged, and my father hasn't stopped praying since. My stepfather searching the eyes of doctors for the answers to those prayers. My siblings pushing me into the room as though I could perform a miracle. My mother making twin towers of my arms the way she crashes into them now, while I attempted to believe that my faith far exceeds science and God would awaken her somehow. Awaken, sweet sister. Tell me that my tears the size of mustard seeds will fall upon your cheek and move the mountain of swelling in your brain. Tell me that the same God who makes all things possible can still live up to his name, because right now that name belongs to your mother, who's cursing God for being too coward to make up his own mind as she stares at the medical forms granting the hospital permission to let you die. If he wants her, then take her, she says. Who am I to decide? And by her side is your fiancé, whose fists are stones he's ready to throw if the doctor mentions organ donation just one more time. But your father, he sits still praying at your bedside, wrapping rosaries around your hands and tucking prayer cards behind your neck. God will resurrect my daughter, he says. Please, God, tell me she'll resurrect. How do I respond? How do I agree when the tubes of your IV intertwines around my throat, strangles my voice every time I plead? Awaken, sweet sister. Make this poem easier to write. Tonight, pull out the respirator in your throat and speak the words that will end this poem brighter than how it begun. Remove the tubes and we'll blow kisses into your veins, that you may know where the true source of your life comes from, how it comes from your heart, how in this hurricane world you broke into tiny pieces, dropped them like care packages on our laps. You always had enough of it to give, which is why there are 200 people in the waiting room now, ready to give it back in case you need it to live. But on the 7th day, the doctor gave us the results of the last test my sister will ever take, and I swear I'm not built for earthquakes like that. My knees buckling like a bridge, my arms shaking too much to catch another one of my mother's crash landings. None of us was left standing. We were all falling through the cracks, falling until we hit the floor of a room that night. This is what rock bottom must look like. The nurse disconnecting her machines, our heads stretching to touch a part of her as we wailed, our tears dropping as fast as her heartbeat, our sanity vanishing with her breath. Faster it faded, my stepfather stroking her face. Faster it faded, my father presses her hand to his cheek. Faster it faded, we're still waiting on a miracle. Faster it faded, my face planted to my mother's belly. Mommy, this hurts. Faster it faded, and then it was finished. The monitors dropped to 0, and as her breath emptied and her heartbeat slowed, her fiancé removes the ring from her finger, ties it to his necklace, and says, how fitting. It was her heart that was the last to go. It was silent after that. Silent as my mother reaches over to close her daughter's eyes. My stepfather releases a long-awaited sigh. My sibling strings the creases in her blanket while my father unravels the rosary from her hands, takes the prayer cards from behind her neck and slips them into his pocket, places a kiss on her forehead, her chest, and both her shoulders. Put in a good word to God for us, he says. And that's when I knew that all along we had failed to see the light at the end of this tunnel she was going through. Because while we were praying for her awakening, the awakening was really meant for us to remind us that life is a coma we can still choose to wake up from. That faith means not having to wait for the sun to come, because sometimes the sun doesn't come, but we can still rise on our own. Her last breath has already blown life into the candles of our bones, with nothing more but a wish that we may live more fully. The woolly caterpillar freezes to death in a winter and comes back to life in the spring. For 14 years goes through the same cycle of awakening, waiting until the final year when its work is complete, then spins itself into a cocoon to be reborn a moth and fly away for good. So sleep now, sweet sister. You've surrendered your life for too many winters, we'll take it from here. Sleep now wherever you wake, may you be reborn with wings on your back, flying to the sun, knowing when our own winter ends, spring will come and we'll see each other again. But until then, yeah, put in a good word to God for us. There's never a proper response when you're sitting in the doctor's office as he proceeds to tell you those are cancer cells they found in your body. My doctor doesn't wait for one, but rather he takes my distant stare into the sterile white walls as his cue to tell me to stay positive. After all, research showed that if treated early, testicular cancer has a 95% survival rate, and just then I was tempted to say, 95% means nothing if destiny doesn't intend me to be a part of that statistic. But I bite my tongue, kept my eyes fixated across the room, waiting until he was done. Explaining the process of what's meant to happen next, he says step 1 involves cutting a 4-inch incision beneath my belly. Then with a probe, guide the entire right testicle up through the pelvic region. Extracted through the incision, now imagine there I am, pumped with anesthesia, counting down slowly from 10, each second maliciously haunted by the disturbing thought that when I wake, I will never be whole again. Now it's off to step 2. Nauseated and confused, I quickly learned that Percocets and poetry writing just don't mix. But I pop up on the hour every hour, because as every hour ticks, the pain returns, radiates through nerves like tattoos being etched from the inside. So I gotta pop pills until I feel the pain begin to subside. My doctor says all I can do is wait until the incision heals, wait for the pathology report, wait to see if the cancer was caught in time, wait to get back to my right state of mind, wait for sanity, wait for a miracle, wait for a blessing. It's so unsettling that when it comes to cancer, there seems to be a lot of waiting for the unknown. I'm trying to stay positive, y'all. But being at home bedridden with boredom makes the mind wander. Imagination running rampant like a purse snatcher. Taking off with your high hopes, then carries into the darkest alleys of your fears. And despite how hard you try to steer clear, there you are, shuffling in the dark, fingers fumbling for something to hold on to, face in the sky looking for some sort of rescue, pronouncing prayers that always seem to end with, what is it that you want me to do? Because when you're there, catching quick stares from the eyes of death, playing Russian roulette with aquafina protein levels and tumor markers, you can't help but wonder if God has even paid any sort of attention to the tribulations I'm facing. It's amazing. I was been 4 days since the surgery, and I still haven't had the courage to look at myself naked in the bathroom mirror. 4 days is still waiting on test results. 4 days refusing to see visitors. 4 days. And my wife wakes me from sleep with a kiss on the cheek that suddenly tells me that God is still listening. And he speaks to me through her, tells me that nothing occurs without his touch. And though this episode right now might seem too much, just know that it's happening for a reason. To change me the same way he changes the season, because God doesn't give you dreams to taunt you, and God doesn't give you anything you can't handle, and God rebuilds, he doesn't dismantle. So here I am, broken, but still beautiful. Thankful to be blessed by the presence of family and friends, a loving girl, a beautiful audience, and a 4-inch scar that I now pass off as a stab wound I got from a knife fight because I'm hardcore like that. But I'm alive, and I've survived, so give me the choice to ride or die, and I spread my arms to the side to touch both ends of the earth. Damn right, me and my 1 testicle's taking over the world. Because where the wind blows next, only waiting can tell. But ask me what I learned from cancer, and I'll answer that sometimes you have to lose a part of you to find your whole self.
In my comments, but in person you don't want it. Bitch, what? Bitch, what? Bitch, what? Bitch, what?
Okay.
Hi guys.
Okay, Patrick, I see you with the freshman.
Yeah. Hey, 305 in the building right now. Yeah. Hey, I hear you, sis. Let's get them. Let's go. I see you over there, you steady hating. My time is finally coming, I've been waiting. And I was trying to grind, but you ain't want to shine. When these lights come on, just know that it's my time. Oh, they hate it, my greatness awakened. Was all in been patient, it's my time to get it. Say what's on your mind, don't put the blame on I. Told you from the beginning, so why you look surprised? They telling me I'm not the boy that they used to know. I tell them yes, cause I'm a man, that little boy is no more. Had an epiphany and seen a bigger picture. Y'all can't be mad at me, cause I can't fuck with you, bitch. I'm second cell like Columbus, on a mission for a new destiny. Made new connects, I need more haters, but I can't let them get the best of me. They say this and they say that, like they were supposed to hurt me. It don't do nothing, just motivate the motivate the more energy. On a mission to get it, by any means that's necessary. Only two options, make it to the top. So while I'm trying, I'ma get buried. I'ma get wild like a thornberry. You trained for this, I was born ready. Never made a record, had no success. Only met 16, had no regret. I see you over there, you steady hating. The time is finally coming, I've been waiting. When you ain't on the grind, but I was trying to shine. When the lights come on, just know that it's my time. Ooh, they hate it, my greatness awakened. Was patient, kept grinding, no balling, so face it. Say what's on your mind. Don't put your game online, so shoot from the beginning. So why you look surprised? They say my methods are ludicrous. This time and age can't compute this. They say that I'm so far ahead. They say everybody I'm stupid. I'ma tell them how I get down. I'm the prince when they come to my town. I'ma do my thing and forget all the haters. And when they see me, they bow down. Cause I'm the man of the hour. I do this, take a shower. Why the lights ain't on, don't know why. But oh, guess what? I'ma keep going. Yeah, now you know that I'm flowing. Freestyling and this best. You already know when you see me. You better make sure you show me respect. Cause I'm here. And I'ma do this to the day that I die. Rep my city 305, I know that thing I'm high. And let them know the prince is in the building. And they better step back, all the old ladies and children. I see you over there, you steady hating. The time is finally coming, I've been waiting. When I was trying to grind, but you ain't wanna shine. When them lights come on, just know that it's my time. Ooh, they hate it, my greatness awakened. Was patient, kept grinding, I'm ballin', so face it. Say what's on your mind, don't put your blame on I. Told you from the beginning, so why you look surprised and no foul?
feel like these walls are closing in. This roof is caving in. My heart is torn into pieces. I'm steady losing friends. But it's this song that repeats in my head over and over again.
Whoa, it's okay not to be okay. Sometimes it's hard to follow your heart. But tears don't mean you're losing. Everybody's bruising. There's nothing wrong with who you are.
There's pain in my tears, bruises in my heart. My mind is caged in and my body is falling apart. Sorry. There's pain in my tears and bruises in my heart. My mind is caged in and my body is falling apart. I've had countless weary days and many sleepless nights, and it makes it so much harder for me to even function in life. I can no longer eat. I can no longer sleep. And it would be so much better if everything within me no longer beats. If everything within me no longer beats.
But tears don't mean you're losing. Everybody's bruising. There's nothing wrong with who you are. There's nothing wrong with who you are.
Who am I? I am a person who is strong no matter what. I am a person who has faith and doesn't give up. Even if I am ridiculed and beaten to the death of me, I promise to always get back up and stand on my own 2 feet. I am an eagle whose wings have been clipped, yet I continue to soar. I can withstand anything and everything that stands before me. I am a warrior.
Now I'm a warrior. Now I've got thicker skin. I'm a warrior. I'm stronger than I've ever been. And my armor is made of steel. You can't get in. I'm a warrior. And now I am proud of who I am.
Mountains, thank you.
Y'all hear it, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Y'all can still hear me okay? Yeah. Can we try this? There you go. Where was that? All right, cool. All right. Don't move anything. All right. There's a lot of artists on stage tonight, man. How many of you guys are like artists? Anybody? Right? How many of y'all like writers? Anything like that? Athletes? Any athletes tonight? I write this for y'all, right? Because when I was writing this poem, I started to wonder, like, what's it gonna be like when I'm too old to do what I love, right? Like, I'm not gonna be 89 years old trying to rock the college crowd still, right? Eventually, what happens when our body won't allow us to do what our passion wants? And that's kind of what this poem is about, right? Like, I look at people like, you know, Derrick Rose or like Dwayne Wade and all these guys, like, they're injured all the time. Like, one of these days they gotta retire, and it's like sad to kind of see that go. But I want you to know that what you create is not who you are. Your creation is yourself. That hopefully you can look back years and years later and say, man, you know, I made me. I'm my own masterpiece. And that's what this poem is kind of about. It's called Chisel, but I want you to let me know then and now if you really like it, because it's one of my favorites right now, but I hope y'all like it. And it's for the artists and for all of you out there who have a passion for something. And that's what this poem is. And here you go. My neighbor is a sculptor with Parkinson's. You can hear him, banging and grinding in a way that tells me he's lost himself inside that marble and now he's frantically trying to find himself. The floor of his garage covered with the crumbs and dust of everything he's not, but lately, it's gotten quieter. The shakes, he calls them. They're getting worse. Imagine your muse grabbing you by the wrist after going on a coke binge, and I just watch him, running his fingers along the blades of his chisels, preparing to say goodbye to an old friend. Funny, he says, that the one thing I won't be able to do is the only thing I can't stop thinking about doing. I guess it's the things we love that has the best chance of killing us. It's been 2 years since my sister's death, and we still can't convince my mother it's time to stop sleeping in her room, and I've never been an acrobat. I don't know how to tie my mother's mood swings and teach her when it's safe to let go. I don't know how to weave her broken heartstrings into a harness. All I know is that the thing about saying goodbye to what we love is that the heart is a handkerchief, waving to a train that's leaving too slow. Our fight is a boxer, lacing up his gloves, refusing to acknowledge the sudden flash of dizziness from the blow he took last year. We break ourselves over and over and over. It was never the pain that we feared. What we feared is the moment our calling stops calling, the moment the shakes become permanent. So I don't think about my poems, of the day I'm too frail to stand behind a microphone, which is why I wear a blindfold when I write, so I don't have to see it coming. I keep a stack of blank notebooks on my bookshelf, so I know I'll always have a page. My friend William Bell was gunned down outside of his own poetry venue no more than 10 minutes after walking off stage. Call me insensitive, but sometimes I think maybe it's better to go out that way, to exit stage right while people still remember my name, ask me how I take my glory, and I'll choose to blaze over the flame so I can say I was engulfed, that I ended my song on a high note, that I still matter the day I proclaimed I'm finished giving everything. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the one who got it right is my wife, who told me every time she sees the finish line banner at the end of a marathon, she doesn't speed up like everyone else. She walks. She takes her time, because what's the point of victory if it happens too quickly to enjoy that sign? Perhaps passion isn't found in the finish. Perhaps it's found in the paraplegic girl extending her arms to her father, saying, twirl me around the room because I'm in a mood to dance. Perhaps it's found in the teachers of Sandy Hook, wiping gunpowder residue off their chalkboards to make room for brand new lesson plans. And for my mother, I'm finally beginning to understand why she refuses to move on. The day she told me, I'm gonna keep sleeping on my daughter's bed for as long as it takes until the smell is gone. I know now that she's right, that even if what we love can kill us, it's also the very thing that gives us life, to fight even when the gloves feel heavy. My neighbor, he's done trying to control the steady. Now he just does the shakes to the sculpting, says the beauty isn't the crumbling, to reveal everything you are by taking the chisel to everything you're not. I asked him how he's gonna feel the day he has to put those tools back in his box. He says, by then I won't need them. There's nothing left for me to make. I've inhaled so much of this dust through the years that I've somehow become the very thing I sought out to create. All right, UWF, y'all ready for the last poem? Make some noise, make some noise, make some noise. Man, we went through everything tonight. Man, we talked about love, talked about cancer, talked about testicles, people dancing with glow sticks, doing comedy. Man, crazy night. I had a blast. Y'all had a blast? Yeah? If there's anything that I want you to take away from this show, right, is that you're alive, man. Like, you know, there's so many things that could kill you, but somehow or the other, you managed to survive everything out there that could kill you. Hurricanes, like, you know what I mean? Ice. Freaking Pensacola, y'all, we had snow. Like, it was crazy. Y'all remember that? Was it this winter or the winter before? Like, snow? How is there snow next to palm trees? Like, it's crazy. But you're alive, man, and you know, and sometimes we take that for granted. You know, we forget to live in the moment that we're in. You know, like I said, we worry so much about what we have to do later that we forget to be in the moment that we're in. Like, this is the moment that we're in. I want you to embrace the fact that you're alive. You know, because so many times people will try to tell you things are not going to happen and whatever. You know, as long as you're alive, you'll be able to get through whatever it is that life throws at you, right? You know, when I went through cancer, you know, people told me, look, man, like, I've been through everything. I lost my sister, you know, went through cancer. When I went through cancer, the doctor says, you know, it's probable that we're never going to have children, and that's just, you know, because of cancer, right? Somehow or the other, I was able to get my wife pregnant, but then 2 months into the pregnancy, she lost a baby, right? And so that's what happened. This was like back in 2012, right? And so, and at that point, the doctor said, well, now it's even more of a risk, right? You know, this may never happen. And we, you know, we came to terms with that, you know, and we're like, all right, well, let's just go out there and live our lives for everybody else, you know, but my God is an amazing God, and when my God says, live, right? So, December of 2013, my wife gave birth to our first child. So I'm like, yeah, I got this 1-year-old at home, crazy kid. This kid, like, no one will ever make me cry. I'm thug like that, right? Except my kid. Like, ask my wife. She has seen me cry. Like, why are you doing this to me right now? But that's the amazing thing, man. And I want you to know that, as long as you see it through, no matter what you're going through, man, no matter you had a bad day, bad week, bad month, bad year, see it through, because I promise that there's always good on the other side. We all want to get to the top of that mountain, but then we get to these bushes and we're like, oh, too hard, and we turn around and walk back, not knowing that we just got through that bush. The view that we were looking for is right on the other side. So you were so close, yet so far, right? So I want to dedicate this last poem to y'all. This is the poem that I have for all of you, just to let you know, hopefully you walk away feeling alive, and don't worry so much about what's going to happen. Prepare for it, but live for the moment that you're in and enjoy it and be blessed, yeah? So this is the poem. Thank you guys so much for having me. Before I go, can y'all just give yourselves one more round of applause for coming out? Amazing. Here we go. So my aunt once told me, on the day I was born, my father held me as carefully as a ticking bomb, brought me close and said, I promise you everything. Alive. With the inhale of our first breath, our hearts swing open like the doors to an empty new house, waiting to be filled with everything we love. And in that moment, our eyes squinting at the blinding light, we are filled with the abundant hope that everything in our sight is attainable. My wife, our water broke at 10:40 that night. And over the next 24 hours, I paced back and forth in that hospital room, scuffing the words perfect parent with my heels over and over until it was deep enough into that linoleum floor for me to believe it. And damn right I believed it. Even convinced myself that anyone who says parenting is hard just doesn't have it figured out like me, because let's face it, I'm pretty awesome. But by that following evening, there was my son, crying in my arms, me not knowing how to make him stop, and all I could think was, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? But I remember how just the year before I was holding my mother to keep from throwing herself into the grave as they lowered my sister's casket, my father crumbling to the floor, his hands to his mouth, trying to catch and save every promise he's ever made as they all came spilling out. What's the point, he kept asking. I don't know. All I know is from ashes we come and to ashes we return, and we've been struggling since the womb, pushed out into a world that looks at us with thoughts of eating us alive. It was cancer that almost ate me alive, so I learned how to write poems in my palms, clenched inside my fist to keep death at bay, 3 minutes and 10 seconds at a time. But sometimes I let them write themselves past the margins and into my fingers, so I'll always remember to count my blessings. And I'm counting my blessings, even the ones that hurt, even the ones that carve tattoos deep into my bones. How beautiful the way pain turns into art that manages to survive, because one day my son will have carvings of his own and I'll have to teach him, look, the hurt we sometimes feel is just this life's way of adorning us from the inside. So search for me from the inside. All that's come and gone. How I lost my first child to a miscarriage. How I lost my sister to a headache. How I lost a testicle to a cancer that says it's likely I will never have children. So yeah, the world can call me a loser, but today I hold a son who giggles every time I say the word statistic. Alive, alive, how glorious to be alive. Writing our legacy with our heels. Every footprint and exclamation point stomped through all the dirt we've ever had to go through. Look around you. Every one of us alive in this moment. Every one of us a heartbeat that held on just a little bit longer. Look around you. Look past the blur of the crowds and see the faces. You are the fulfillment of answered prayers. Alive, alive. How glorious to be alive. Because the day we are born is the day we begin to die, but not today. Today I'm writing my name off the tombstone. Today I'm carving more stories into my bones. And I'll keep going for as long as I survive. Because I somehow made it past yesterday. And I may not be around tomorrow, but in this moment, I'm alive. And I've been told that I am promised everything. Yo, UWF, thank you guys for having us, man. We got more men. Second place, we actually have a tie for second. And the two people who won for second place, Beloved and Dylan. Beloved, right? It's Beloved? Yeah, that's what Beloved. Beloved, alright. And in first place, y'all ready? We got another tie for first place. Between Alexa and Mallory and Alpha Gamma Delta.